passes all understanding. Surrounded by the arms of love all around. Oh, it's a sweet, sweet love in my soul. And I've got joy like a river. Oh, peace, love, and joy. Peace, love, joy. Oh, peace, love, and joy. Peace, love, joy. I've got peace, love, joy. And I've got love, peace, love, joy. So much love. I've got so much peace, love and joy, love and joy. I never knew love could be like this. I never knew peace could be like this. I never knew this joy. Never knew this passes all understanding. Oh, I've got peace in my soul, and there is love. I'm surrounded by the arms of love. Sweet, sweet love I've got so much peace. Love and joy. Love and joy. I never knew love could be like this. I never knew peace. Peace could be like this. I never knew this joy. Never knew this joy. Love and joy. Love and joy. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace in my soul. There is love all around me, so much love all around me, so much love in my soul. I've got joy like a river. I've got joy like a river. So much joy in my soul. I've got peace like a river that passes all understanding. Peace like a river. Oh, I've got peace in my soul. And there is love. I'm surrounded by the arms of love. Oh, it's a sweet, sweet love in my soul. And I've got joy like a river. I've got joy in my soul. Peace, love, and joy. Oh, peace, love, and joy. Peace, love, joy. Oh, peace, love, and joy. I've got peace, and I've got love. So much love. Love and joy. Love and joy. Oh, it's surrounding me, everywhere with me. I've got so much peace. I've got so much peace. Love and joy. Love and joy. I never knew love could be like this. I never knew peace. Peace could be like this. I never knew this joy. Never knew this joy. I'm surrounded by the arms of love. All around. Oh, it's a sweet, sweet love. In my soul. And I've got joy like a I've got joy in my Good morning, beautiful people. Happy Sunday morning. It is so very good to be here with each and every one of you as we gather together to celebrate the magnificence and significance of God in, through, and as us. Let us begin as we always do with prayer. And I invite you here and now to take a breath in through your nose intentionally, out through your mouth deliberately. Again, let's take an intentional breath in and we breathe out. And let's affirm, I am here now.
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 The past is gone, the future is yet to come, and we are here now. God is here now, and now, and now, and now. I remember that there is one mind, one power, one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all, working in us, through us, and as us. There is one life, and that life is our life now. It is the power that is back of, behind, and underneath all things. It is the ground of all being, the unified field, that space, that place, that mind from which all minds come and from which all minds are joined. And I am grateful and thankful to remember that God is and God is now. For God neither comes nor goes. Love neither comes nor goes. Good neither comes nor goes. Wisdom neither comes nor goes. Knowledge neither comes nor goes. Intelligence neither comes nor goes. Answers neither come nor go. They are right here, right now. Our recognition and receptivity is required. And right here and now we recognize and we are receptive to the powerful knowingness that we are one with God and one of God, forever and ever connected. We cannot be separate from God, forever and ever connected. We cannot be turned away from God. We are one with God. As the wave is one with the ocean, so we are one with God. And so it is out of this awareness that I speak this word in faith over this service that we call the weekend service, that it is good, that it is blessed, that it is abundant, that it is healing, that it is transforming, that it is enlightening. Each and every one of us, although we may have come in a good space, we will leave here even better. If we come in looking for answers, the answers come. If we come here looking for a new idea, the new ideas come. If we come here looking for transformation, transformation comes. If we come here looking for healing in any way, we are healed now. I know it, I declare it, I embrace it, I let it be, I let it be. And from this place of beingness, I release this prayer back into the law which is always in operation, responding to us and becoming that which we create in consciousness. So we let this good be now. We let this healing be now. We let this transformation be now. And together we lift up our voices and we say, amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. And so it must be. Yes, yes. Well, hello again. Good morning. Happy Sunday. It's wonderful to be here. I'm feeling good. I hope you're feeling good. And we are going to have a good time together as we continue with our message series, as we experience the power of meditation, the power of song, and continue to join our minds as one community and join our time as one community to remember who and whose we are. I want to say hello specifically to our first-time guests. Some of you may be joining us for the very first time, and we're happy that you decided to be with us today. However you found us, we're happy that you're here, that you chose to stream our broadcast on this Sunday, knowing that there are many services and celebrations that you could be a part of. And we are clear and confident that if you're here, it's for a reason. And that reason will be heard, met, and responded to by the Spirit. And so if you are a first-time guest, it's very easy to stay in touch with us, because we would love to stay in touch with you. You see the information here on your screen. Just text WELCOME to the phone number 347-472-1078. And when you text WELCOME to that phone number, you'll receive a response, which gives you a link to our digital connection card. Click that link, enter your information there in the digital connection card, and submit it. Once you've successfully submitted your information, you'll receive a follow-up text message that says you're all set. And then indeed you are all set. And you'll get our weekly email, which comes out on Fridays, which has lots of pertinent information, helpful links, and other information that you'll want to have as you continue to join us on Sundays and become a part of this wonderful, powerful, thriving community that is Celebration Spiritual Center. So let's get into the announcements. And as you'll see in the announcements, there's some things that you might want to have links to later on in the week, and that might be a reason to join the mailing list. We are excited about prayer. We are a church that believes in prayer. And what we do in the beginning of the year is we expand our weekly prayer, which happens on Wednesday mornings, and we expand it to a Monday through Friday prayer for the month of January. And so all this month, what we've been doing is gathering together at 7 a.m. on Monday through Friday, praying, sharing a reading from the daily word, and using this time to really plant seeds and to set intention for the year. There is power in prayer when prayer is properly understood and used. There's much power in affirmative prayer, and so that's what we do. We pray affirmatively. We're not begging, beseeching, or bartering with God in any way, but we are simply speaking those truths that we desire to be true for our lives today and throughout the year. So we invite you to join us. This week is the final week of the weekly prayer call. And starting back in February, we'll go back to just coming together in the middle of the week on Wednesday mornings. So if you haven't been able to join us yet, join us now, right? Join in the vibration. As you'll also see, there's a playback number. So if that time doesn't work for your schedule for whatever reason, you can always call the playback number, enter the access code, and the most recent prayer will play. If you have a prayer request, then you can send us an email to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. We recognize that there are so many things happening in our lives and in the lives of our family and friends. And so if you would like to put their name in for prayer, or there's something that you desire in prayer, we absolutely encourage you to send that email. It's received by PY, myself, and all of our prayer champions, and we will know the truth with you. We will hold the highest watch and the highest knowing with and for you and for your loved ones. We also encourage you to let us know as the prayer is answered and as things are progressing. We've been hearing from some of you, and we are very appreciative to hear back from you and to know that this power and vibration of prayer, it's working, it's healing, it's bringing new jobs, it's doing all sorts of wonderful things in the lives of our community, and we are grateful for it. So again, those of you who have submitted prayer requests, by all means, please send us a follow-up and let us know how your prayer is being answered. Finally, the 2021 giving statements will be available, or actually will be emailed by the end of the month. Now, giving statements are provided for every person that has given $250 or more in the 2021 calendar year, as well as all CSC members are given, we provide the giving statements. So by the end of the month, look for that email. The email will be coming from Planning Center Giving. So many of you know Planning Center is the software tool that we use for our services and for our volunteers. But we're going to use the giving portion to provide the statements. So it won't be coming from me or Pastor Yolanda or even the giving support team, right? It will be coming from Planning Center Giving. And what I'll do next week is I'll make sure we share a screenshot of what the top of that email looks like so that you know exactly what to look for and check your spam or any of those things in case it has gone to a different folder. And again, 2021 giving statements will be available by the end of the month. They will be emailed. And again,
On the 31st.
yeah, by the 31st.
By the 31st, right.
And again, those who have given $250 or more in the 2021 calendar year will be provided with a giving statement along with all CSC members. And that completes our announcements for today. And so we're going to move to the meditation. And I'm seeing some of the comments, folks. You're commenting on the green. Our green is intentional because green is the color of the heart chakra. And so as it is all about love, we are tapping into that vibration of the heart and that vibration of love. And so now we will be in PY's very capable hands as she leads us in meditation.
Yes, I love the idea, excuse me, that we are operating centered in the heart, at the altar of love, at the altar of truth, at the altar of healing. And green is also my favorite color, so I'm excited that we are representing it today and this month. Let us remember, as we prepare ourselves for meditation, that we're always only dealing with thought in mind, thought that becomes action. And so when we say we're using an affirmative thought for the month, we're bringing ourselves to that place in our mind where we get to create, where we get to affirm the truth and know the truth. And many times when we're in that place and life is not going according to our desires, we forget that we're always operating with mind and we have the ability to choose a new thought. And this month's affirmative thought is one of my favorites. I love the idea of affirming our freedom to choose, our freedom to choose again, our freedom to live how we desire to live. And so let us prepare to feel the feeling of freedom, to know it for ourselves, to remember under any conditions we are not bound, but we are free. And so let's look around the room. Notice where you are. In your home, seated upright in a chair or seated upright on your sofa or upright in your bed, wherever you find yourself, settle in to that safety of your home. Settle in to the safety of knowing that these words, not only I speak them, but I feel them. Align your ears over your shoulders and your shoulders over your hips so that we create this long line of energy flowing through the body, flowing through the physical and the subtle body that we call that chakra system. And so that it is unobstructed, go ahead and plant your palms on the tops of your thighs. Just that subtle movement relaxes the shoulders even more. The body knows how to be in perfect alignment when we allow it. And so let's do that now. Go ahead and close your eyes. And let's take this journey home. Home to the center of our being. Home to that vibration of healing and love. And home where we are always free. With your eyes closed, just notice the breath now. Notice that it is freely flowing. And whether we think it is shallow or deep, it is freely moving. The breath is our alignment to the energy that flows on the breath, prana, that flow of God, unobstructed. always a cycle of giving and receiving, and always given freely. Everywhere around us, we recognize that there is freedom in our physical body, every cell, in our breath, and in our lives. Let's just notice freedom. Last round, to notice the breath and to be in gratitude that it is flowing. And because we have the freedom to take the breath under our conscious control, let's do that now. Let's create the longest, most expanded breath that we've ever felt, for this is a new moment. Bring the right palm to the low belly. And from this place, inhale into the low belly, and as you inhale, expand the low belly. Inhale. And hold it there. Count to 4. And relax the jaw, open the mouth, sigh it out, releasing it. Again, in through the low belly, expanding, hand follows, creating more room for breath, more room for freedom. Hold it there. Open the mouth, relax the jaw, sigh it out. Let's hear the freedom as we release anything that would block our freedom. In through the low belly, now up through the rib cage. If you temporarily collapse down, open and expand all the way in and up through the ribs, expanding the front and the sides and the back of the body. Notice how much space there is for breath, for life, for God. Hold it there. Again, without collapsing, sigh it out. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage again, finding new places for freedom and expansion. Hold it there. And if the mind has wandered off into something where you feel limitation, open the mouth, release it, sigh it out, let it go. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, now finding our way to that heart chakra, center of the chest, and radiating out and across the chest, across the back. Hold it there. And open the mouth. Let it all go. Sigh it out. We are drawn by the vibration of the heart in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, up through and to the heart. It's alive. It is pumping. It is sending joy through your veins, for you are free. Hold it there. And now sigh it out. Let's practice a few rounds of this deep breath in and all the way up. And when you reach the top, close the lips and exhale through the nose when you're ready. Let's practice a few rounds of this deep, full, expanded breath together. Each round solidifying the vibration of healing, of love, of truth. Each round reminding us of the freedom to choose healing and peace. Each round reminding us that we are so worthy of the love that is flowing through us now. Beautiful, everyone. Now let's choose together to send this freedom into our feet. Notice the feet. Are they gripping? Are they holding? Do they feel bound in any way? Send the energy there. Breathe into the feet. Relax the feet. We are planted, we are rooted, we are grounded in freedom. So let that freedom rise up through our feet, making its way to our ankles. Relax the ankles. Energy flows across the shins and the calves. Any tension, any anxiety, any fear, doubt, or worry that we're holding. Relax the shins and the calves, and let love freely flow. Energy flows across the knees. We bend, we surrender to the God within ourselves that is reminding us of our freedom. Relax the knees. Energy flows across the thighs, the hamstrings, and the glutes. Feel it there. Give it permission. Relax the thighs, the hamstrings, and the glutes. As we surrender the lower half of our body, we open more fully, allowing the energy to flow upward, allowing the Kundalini to rise. In and up. Exhale, allow. Up. Exhale, allow. In and up. Exhale, allow. In and up. Exhale, allow. And one more time, in and up and out the crown of our head. We feel the energy gathered above us, surrounding us, in front and back, behind, underneath us, lifting us, elevating us. And we now give it permission to flow back down through the crown, across the third eye, awakening the throat, across the shoulders and down the arms, out the fingertips. God is freely moving and flowing. Every cell is awake, aware, and alive. Go ahead and scan your body one last time, noticing anywhere that you are holding. And send love there, send breath there, and send our affirmative thought there. I am free. I am free. I am free. If you like, turn the palms up to receive more of that freedom, or turn the palms down to ground. Either way, you are in the flow, operating in the stream of well-being. I will monitor the time you take the inward journey. And if the mind wanders, remember it's only thought. Bring it back to this thought. I am free. Right here, right now, I am free. With our eyes still closed, we just feel how good it feels to be connected to an unending source of goodness. With our eyes still closed, we affirm our freedom, we accept our freedom now. With our eyes still closed, we just relax in the joy of knowing that nothing can take our freedom. Let us begin to lovingly, slowly wake the body. Nice and easy. Maybe wiggle the toes or the fingers or elongate the breath. Just subtle movements is all that it takes to activate the physical body and to illuminate the mind that is aware of its freedom. We give it permission to bring all of that sensation back here, back into our day, back into our week. And if any time during the week we feel bound or constricted or tight, we remember that we established a vibration today. And all we have to do is close our eyes, take a breath, and come back to it and affirm, I am free. If the palms are turned up, go ahead and turn them down. And that easy movement or making contact with the thighs begins to wake the thighs, for we are gentle with ourselves. Inhale, draw the shoulders up by the ears. Hold. Exhale, release the shoulders back and down. Inhale up. Shoulders by the ears. Exhale. Shoulders relax back and down. Last time. Inhale up. Shoulders by the ears, we relax back as we exhale. Everything nice and easy releases down. Bring the palms together at heart center. Lightly touch the thumbs into the sternum, that little bony ridge right there at the center. For behind that is the heart, the energy of the heart. We bring it forward. Bow the chin to the fingertips. As we bow, we honor the time that we've given ourselves, the time of connection, the time of remembering. For we are free. Slowly flutter the eyes open. Nice soft gaze, taking in a point either on the floor or right in front of you. Let's inhale. Raise the chin, raise the gaze. Release the breath. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome, baby.
The vibration, the meditation is so good, so necessary. Feel free. You can always come back to this recording, this stream at any time, and use the meditation throughout this week or at any point in time that you desire or need to go within. So we're going to hear from Soul 21 in just a few moments, and then after that we will get into the next part of our series as we are looking at what it really means to love God, which is to know God and understand who and what it is and what it does and how it works and how to use it, this power, this principle that is God, this spirit, this love, this law. I'm excited about where we're going today. So before we get into the sermon, let's get into the music, and I'll see you on the other side.
And so this song is a prayer to be used. Because if God can use anything, I know that God can use me. If God can use anything, I know God can use you. And all that is required is your receptivity to say, here I am, I'm available. Use me. There's a call for love. Everywhere we see out in the world, the injustice, the discrimination, the hatred, all of the foolishness, it's a call for love. And love can only be experienced in, through, and as each and every one of us. So we say yes to God as love to express through us. If you can use anything, you can use me. To encourage me. So I want to be used in the same way. Take my hands, Lord, and my feet. Touch my heart. Touch my heart, Lord, speak through me. If you can use anything. You can use anything, Lord, you can use me. We pause. If you can use anything. If you can use anything, Lord, you can use me. I make myself available. If you can use anything, Lord, you can use me. Take my hands,
Lord, and my feet.
touch my heart.
Touch my heart, Lord, speak through me.
You can use.
You can use anything, Lord.
I'm gonna stay right there. You can use anything.
You can use
anything.
Lord, you can use me.
I make myself available.
Use anything, Lord, you can use me.
It just requires our yes. Take my hands and my feet.
Take my hands, Lord, and my feet.
Touch my heart.
Touch my heart, Lord, speak.
Take my hands.
Take my hands, Lord, and my feet.
Touch my heart.
Touch my heart, Lord, speak.
All that I am.
Take my hands, Lord, and
My gifts, my skills, my talents, my abilities. I bring them here right now. Right now.
my heart, Lord, speak.
Take my hands. Take my hands.
Take my hands
And my feet.
and my feet.
Touch my heart. Speak through me. I'm bringing all that I am. All that I have. I'm making it available. Oh, take me up. Take my hands.
Take my hands
And my feet.
and my feet.
Touch my heart. Oh, take my hand and my feet.
And my feet.
Touch my heart. Take me up. Take me up. Oh, I'm available. I'm available. Just as I am. Just as I am. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be added. But as I am, I'm available to be used by love, to be used for good, to be used for peace. I make myself available. You can use.
Anything, Lord, you can use me.
If you can use.
You can use anything, Lord, you can use me.
I invite you to just consider all of the things, all of the anythings that have been used in your life, all of the anythings that have spoken to you, all of the anythings that have encouraged you. You can be used in the very same way, in the very same way, in the very same way. When you see what's going on in this world, and when it causes you dismay, when it causes you not to feel good, that's the call within you. The call for you as you are right now. Nothing needs to be added. But as you are right now, life is seeking to express through you, to be good through you, to be love through you, to be peace through you, to be a loving word through you, to be an encouraging word through you, to be a demonstration, to be a lighthouse, pointing someone to the way that they too can be healed, that they too can be successful, that they too can change their lives, that they too can change their minds. Anything, yeah. Oh. I make myself available. Here I am, just as I am. Here I am, just as I am. I make myself available. That's all that life ever asks. That's the only requirement. It's for you to bring yourself as you are and say, use me. If you can use anything, you can use anything. So it is. So it is. So it is. Thank you, God. My Lord, my Lord, my Lord. I hope that met you right where you are. That touched and blessed me. And it's so in alignment with what we're we've been talking about, and where we left off last week with this understanding that God is us, and we keep waiting for some superhero to show up to save the world or change the world. And the call for love is a call for you, not for you when you're perfect, not for you when you think you got everything lined up, not for you when you think you can be a beneficial presence to the earth, but right as you are right now. God uses anything, can use anything. Why not you? Oh my goodness, such a powerful knowing, such a powerful song. Thank you, Soul 21. Thank you for that consciousness and vibration. Thank you, Soul 21 Band, for supporting us in this beautiful knowing. Well, hello. Good morning. Happy Sunday. It is so good to be here with each and every one of you, and I'm excited to share with you today. I'm excited about this series. I try to stay within 30 minutes. I might go a little longer. This teaching today is so rich that there's some things that I really want to make sure we get to and really unpack and really support your understanding as you're continuing to read the 4-part intro or the first 3 parts and in the Science of Mind, the definitive edition. So as a brief review, where have we been? We started in week 1 using the first part of the 4-part introduction of the Science of Mind, the thing itself, right? Who and what is this thing that we call God, right? It's not a person, right? It actually is appropriate to use the word it. I'm reminded that when I was in seminary, it was one of the things that was I had to get used to hear my professors, and specifically my theology professor, refer to God as it, or say God itself, or it just seemed strange. I had never in my life heard God used as it, and I've I know that sometimes when people have heard me say things like this thing we call God is not a thing. Well, it's not a thing, it's the thing. And so what we come to understand is that God is first cause. It is spirit. It is love. It is law. It is that thing that's expressing. And so then in the second week, as we looked at the way it works, how does it work? It works for us by working through us and always is us, right? Powerful, powerful. And so if you're just joining us for the first time, of course, I encourage you to go back to the previous weeks. But what we're doing in this 3-part sermon series, it's all about love. We're starting in January with Love God. And love God is not fall in love with some being that is loving, right? God is not loving. God is love, right? And so we're not saying love God in that sense, but we recognize that loving God is actually knowing and understanding God and coming to a healthy and mature awareness of what this thing is. And then as we come to an awareness of what it is, then we can talk about how it works and what it does, and finally how to use it. And so then last week we talked about this idea, well, how does it work? It works for us, it works through us, and it is us, right? And so in that we talked about some powerful things around God not being a respecter of persons, something that I quote from Ernest Holmes in that section a lot. We must get used to this idea that God is impersonal, that it works with mechanical accuracy and is always available. Right, those are 3 immutable facts and truth about God, which is very different, if you just think about it, than the way that God is thought about or talked about. One of the first things, the always available, well, that then throws the he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time out of the window, right? What we teach and what we know is that God is right here, right now. Neither comes nor goes, right? Neither comes nor goes, always available. And then, of course, we talked about these beautiful truths of God not favoring us in some way, right? Because it's impersonal. The good that happens in our life is not the favor of God, and the unwanted or the bad or the pain or even the suffering that we experience in our life is not the judgment of God. That's not how God works. Again, I encourage you to go back to that message because there's some powerful things there, but we must move on. Now, in last week's message, I highlighted 2 words that were in the reading because I used those words to kind of uncover some deeper meaning of what Ernest Holmes is teaching us as we're understanding how it works, or how God, the spirit, love, law works. And those words were recognize
and the other word was receptivity, right? And in the way it works, Ernest Holmes writes that it, or God, can become power to us only when we recognize it as power. And so I talked about, well, what does recognize mean? And we looked at the definition and looked at the root, that word cognize, right? That to recognize it as power means that we must get to know, acquire knowledge of, become acquainted with, and investigate this thing we call God, what? Over and over again. That's what the is. And so that's something that we're constantly doing. Recognizing it as power is not just a one-time event, but it's a constant inner knowing and inner investigation and inner acquiring that happens. Now, further in the way it works, Holmes writes, our belief sets the limit to our demonstration of a principle which, of itself, is without limit. It is ready to fill everything because it is infinite. So, it is not a question of its willingness nor its ability. It is entirely a question of our own receptivity. And so we talked about to be receptive is to permit to enter, as in to admit. To be receptive is to welcome, is to greet, is to react in a specified manner. And I love this fourth definition, to accept as authoritative, true, or accurate, believe. And so we understood and we talked about those two very key concepts and ideas that we must understand. They're not just sort of just throwaway words, right? That recognizing is something that we must do over and over again, and being receptive and becoming receptive, welcoming, greeting, and believing is something we must do again. And what I said last week is that they inform each other, right? Because our receptivity is expanded through our recognition. So our word today, just one word, is embody. And in this third part of the introduction and what it does, Ernest Holmes uses the word embody, or a form of embody. He uses it 6 times in this reading. And so I want to highlight where he uses it. I'm just going to read these pieces, and we're going to come back to them throughout the sermon because they're so key and so critical to understanding what it does. Holmes writes, the Spirit can give us only what we can take. It imparts of itself only as we partake of its nature. It can tell us only what we can understand. The infinite knowingness becomes our wisdom only in such degree as we embody its intelligence. And another passage. Undoubtedly, we are surrounded by and immersed in a perfect life, a complete, normal, happy, sane, harmonious, and peaceful existence. But only as much of this life as we embody will really become ours to use. As much of this life as we understand and embody will react as immutable law, the reaction of the mechanical to the volitional. Another passage. Each receives what he or she asks for according to our ability to embody. I shifted the language there to be more inclusive. Each receives what we ask for according to our ability to embody. Another reading. A treatment, and he's talking about spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, is a statement in the law embodying the concrete idea of our desires and accompanied by an unqualified faith that the law works for us as we work with it. And finally, and this is the very last line of this passage of what it does, this is how he ends this particular part of the introduction. Here and now, we are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours? All of it. And how much of it may we have to use? As much of it as we can embody. And if you've been reading along with us each week, one of the things you notice is something that Ernest Holmes does. He doesn't bold a lot of things, but there are moments when he writes everything in caps. And that very last line, as much of it as we can embody, is in all caps. So what does this word embody mean? Right? So let's go to Webster's, right? Webster says that embody means to give a body to, a spirit, as in to incarnate. The second definition, to make concrete and perceptible. Another definition, to cause to become a body or part of a body, as in to incorporate, make it a part of. And finally, to represent in human or animal form, to personify. And they use the example here, men who greatly embodied the idealism of American life, right? And so we're going to come back to this definition, but this is important, right? Because Ernest Holmes uses this word 6 times. He uses it in the beginning of the what it does section, and he closes the what it does section with the statement, how much of it may we use? As much of it as we can embody. So Ernest Holmes is inviting us into a profound spiritual understanding and a profound spiritual practice. And what is this practice? Embodying God. Now, at first glance, you might be hearing and you've seen the title and you've heard what Ernest Holmes is writing, and it might seem blasphemous to say embody God. Like, what is that? When you talk about become God, what does that mean? Are you trying to say I am God? I'm flawed. There's no way that I can be God, and there's no way that a lot of these other folks around here could be God. And Ernest Holmes addresses this. He writes this. He says in this passage, he writes, "The infinite knowingness becomes our wisdom only in such degree as we embody its intelligence." You heard me read that earlier. But then he went on. "It has been said that we can know God only insofar as we can become God." So he's given us a clue there to understand what embodying is about. We can only know God only insofar as we can become God. This is a far-reaching thought and should be carefully scrutinized. It is to be taken figuratively and not too literally. For we cannot really become God, but we can and do partake of the divine nature, and the universal does personify. Oh, interesting. Didn't we hear that in the definition? That to embody is to personify. We do take part of the divine nature, and the universal does personify itself through humanity in varying degrees according to humanity's receptivity to it. Now, all of this is giving us the clues to what it does. Holmes, he gets a little more specific in the reading. And some of you may be thinking, okay, PG, you've taken us through this journey, the thing itself. And then you took us last week and how it works. And this week we're supposed to be talking about what it does, but you're talking about embody. How does embody tell me what God does, what spirit does, what law does, and why do I need to embody God? Because you see, I have a list of things that I want God to do for me. And this passage says what God does, and so I'm trying to align what God does so I can get God to do hopefully through me, because we've learned that, right? We learned that last week, so it's no longer I want God to do for me, but I have a list now of what I want God to do for me and through me. Yes, yes? But remember, God always works for us. We learned this last week by working through us and is us. And so with this understanding, we must now talk about, or we can talk about what God, what spirit, what love, what law, what it actually does. Now, you've heard me say many times, and there were 2 sermons last year where I dealt with this idea that God responds and God becomes. Last year in a sermon series, we looked at the truth behind the power behind the truth statement, act as though I am and I will be. And so understanding what it does is rooted in all of those ideas, but we're going to break it down through the lens of Ernest Holmes. He writes, "The universal mind contains all knowledge. It is the potential ultimate of all things. To it, all things are possible. To us, as much as possible as we can conceive according to law. Should all the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we should yet receive only that which we are ready to understand." And here's a line that I read earlier. "Each receives what we ask for according to our ability to embody." And so what is he saying here? Well, first we have to understand, okay, who are we talking about? We're talking about God, and what is God? God is, as he uses in what it does, divine givingness. God is, and you'll read this in the text, infinite knowingness. God is what I take from the text, and what I'm saying is perfect potentiality. The possibility of every good and perfect thing already exists and resides in God. But God is demonstrated and manifested through us in accordance and direct alignment with our recognition, receptivity, and embodiment of this perfect potentiality that it is. So what are we saying here? What are we saying here? This is so incredibly important, and I love how he writes in this passage where he says, to it, talking about God, in the mind of God, from the perspective of the all that is, all things are possible. But from our perspective, as much is possible as we can conceive. We read in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, right? And so what we understand then is that this idea of embodying is getting us into this foundational teaching that understands that embodying is like creating a mold in our mind that God fills or becomes. And so what we believe, what we hold to be true, what we think, even what we hold to be false, right? What we hold to be possible, what we hold to be possible for us, possible for our family, possible for our loved ones, possible for our city, possible for our nation, possible for our family, possible for our bodies, that becomes the truth of our life. And God itself can only fill that which we have given it, right? So if you were desiring, Valentine's Day is coming up, and you were desiring to make a heart-shaped cake, right, for Valentine's Day next month, right? Well, if you had a moon-shaped cake mold, the batter's not going to argue with you. The batter's not going to stop and say, hey, February 14th is coming up. I thought you were making this for Valentine's Day. This mold is it's the shape of a moon. It's not the shape of a heart. Like, you're not going to get what you want, right? That's not what the cake batter does, right? The cake batter just simply conforms to the mold that it's given and becomes that. It has no judgment around it. It really doesn't care if it becomes a heart or a moon. Right? And so this is what's happening in consciousness with all of us. This is why Holmes writes, should all the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we should yet receive only that which we are ready to understand. Each of us receives what we ask for according to our ability to embody. This is already going to open up some eyes and ears as you think about things that you've been asking for, or things that you've been seeking to demonstrate, or things that you've been seeking to manifest in your life, things that you've been wanting to create in your life, and they are not showing up in the way that you think they are. Maybe you think you've provided a heart-shaped mold, but really you've provided a moon-shaped mold. And so then we get to understand where the work really is and how we do the work, right? And we'll talk more about that next week, but we're going to get into it a bit here. We understand that then the work is within our own minds and within our own consciousness, right? What some of us do, right? We think we've given God the mold of a perfect partner and a perfect spouse, and then we go out and we're dating, and we're dating a bunch of bums, right? And so then we're going out in the world trying to manipulate, let me try this different app because these apps are supposed to have better types of people to date. Let me go to this country club because these people are of a certain ilk and are successful, and so they're the type of people that I want to be around, or they're cultured in a certain way. But that's operating in the external. Right? You haven't changed the mold. And so I don't care where you go, right? The embodiment, it remains the same. And so what does Ernest Holmes write about this, which is beautiful? Again, talking about the molds, and then he goes on, he says, this is the way. Right? I almost made this the title for those of you who watch The Mandalorian. I was like, this is the way. This is the way. It is in dealing with the subtle energy of spirit, but the molds are made in our own subjective minds through conscious and specific thought, purpose, and direction. We should be careful not to think that because we make the mold, we must create the substance. God is the substance. God is spirit. God is law that is making all of it happen. We don't have to worry about that. It already exists, he goes on. It is part of the life in which we live, a part of the universal energy. Definite molds or concepts decide the shape which is to be created from the general liquid. This should prove to us that there is a specific technique in mental treatment which we should not overlook. If we wish a certain good, hear this, we must instill into our own minds a realization of this specific good, and then, as this idea is the mold we place in mind, it will be filled by the substance necessary for the complete manifestation of this good in our lives. Now, why can we know and say that it will be filled by the substance? Remember, what did we read earlier? To it, from the perspective and the mind of God, all things are possible. Right? So it's not like, oh, well, I don't know if we can do that now. I was thinking earlier today, and I didn't look up the year. I don't know the year, but it's something to consider that in the 1500s, computers were possible. Right? There was nothing new that was created. Once the first computer was created in the 20th century, there was nothing. There were no new tools and new types of metal or new laws or new rules that were created in order for computers to happen. Right? It's that humanity finally embodied, or a certain number of people embodied this idea and became receptive to it, and then God itself filled that which was always possible. Right? They could have had the internet in the 1400s. Right? They could have had TVs and computers and all the technology that we enjoy today that is so futuristic. Right? The beauty of flight and airplanes could have existed in the year 400. Because there's nothing new that was created except that humanity had to accept the possibility of that. Right? And that's where the growth happens, right? We crawl, we walk, we run, right? Then we roll, right? And then we fly. And so it's important for us to understand this, right? That the thing that we give to God in terms of the mold, and the thing that we provide to life in terms of the mold, it will be filled. Right? The substance necessary for the complete manifestation of this good in our lives will be filled because it was always there. It was always possible. That's why I call God today perfect potentiality. And think about what that means. It's perfect, first of all, perfect in every way, shape, and form. Absolute potential. Everything that is possible is already present within God. So we never have to worry about that. I think sometimes, this is part of where our worthiness conversations come in, right? Because we don't even know, we don't even think that we're worthy of the home that we desire, or the car that we desire, or the relationship that we desire, or the income that we desire, or the loving relationships that we desire, or the healed relationships that we desire, or the healed bodies that we desire, or the healed minds that we desire, right? But know this right now. God is already living there, right? Because it's perfect potentiality. Your healed body exists in potential. Your healed mind exists in potential. Your new career exists in potential. Your new income exists in potential. Your job is only to line up with that which is already possible. Holmes goes on and he writes, therefore, if a person is seeking to demonstrate, she must tell herself that she has faith in her power, in her ability, in the principle, and in the certainty of the demonstration for which he works, or she works. Now, this is interesting. It's beautiful because PY was listening to a song this morning, Sounds of Blackness song, I Believe. And there's a line in the song, I believe, where it says, I believe in myself because I know I get my help. Now, unfortunately, then it externalizes God and says from the power in the sky. Now, if we want to make that metaphorical, the sky is much bigger than us, right? So in that sense that it's wider, greater than finite humanity, fine. But I believe in myself. Why? Because I know I get my help from what? This thing, this perfect potentiality. I know I get my help from divine givingness. I know I get my help from infinite knowingness. I know I get my help from love itself. And so I have faith in my ability to create a mold, to hold a thought in mind and create a consciousness that brings that thing into being. He goes on. Faith, being a mental attitude, is according to law. And even though one doubts, she can overcome her doubts and create the desired faith. If this were not so, this is good news. Only those who by nature have faith in God could ever hope to understand the principle of the science of mind and spirit, which is subject to certain definite, immutable, and impersonal laws. However, even though faith is a necessary attitude, it is something that can always be established by explaining the theory and proving the principle. This is good news, y'all, right? And this is something that's so important, right? Because he uses the word principle, and we've heard that word several times just in this reading and throughout this series, right? And I'm a stickler for this. I'm always going to talk about it. Understanding that we're always talking about and working with a principle. And any tool that you use works because of the principle, not because of the tool. Right. One of the strange phenomenons that I'm seeing now is seeing a lot of the evangelical Christian community embrace vision boarding. Right. I've seen evangelical Christian churches and ministries and groups setting vision board programs and gatherings, last year in preparation for this year. And I've been seeing this increasing really over about the last 10 years. And I just think it's fascinating. Right? Because what I know to be true is that vision boarding works because of this principle, this very thing that we're talking about. A vision board is just a way to support you in creating this mold that we've been talking about. That's all it's doing, right? That's all it's doing. But the problem is I would actually discourage folks to use a vision board that believes in a God that judges you. Right? See, that believes that a God that might be mad at you or a God that sometime he comes, may not come when you want him. Right? And all of those other God concepts, if you mix that with vision boarding, you may not get the results that you want. Because why? Each of us receives according to our ability to embody. And so if we feel that we're sinful and there's something wrong with us, then that's part of the mold, right? And so then even though we have, even though we've created a vision board and put all these wonderful things down and are claiming and declaring and decreeing the good that's going to be in our lives, but we also believe that there's something that's stingy, that will hold things back if we're not perfect, that will hold things back if we make a mistake, that will hold things back if we're sinful. Right? And so this is important to know, right? Because also we can get so caught up in thinking that the power is in the tool, right? What about those who are visually impaired, right? If vision boards were the only way, right, or the ultimate way or the most powerful, it's the most popular right now, right? But what about those that are visually impaired, right? And I can use another example, right? Because we talk about writing things down. Last month, I encouraged you to write down your ideal scene. But what if you can't read and write? And as I was in the shower today, I started to think about our ancestors. Lord have mercy. My ancestors that were enslaved and lived in this country, many of whom could not read or write. But what could they do? They could imagine. They could believe. They could hold an idea in their mind of freedom. They could hold an idea in mind of what their future generations would be able to experience. They could hold in mind what their children's children would be able to experience in this nation. They could hold in their mind the freedom that I experience, express, and enjoy right now. Last year, as we went through this powerful idea of the habits of prosperous people, imagine and believe were two of the habits. And so whatever you need to do to support you in living in the imagination, again, that is already present in perfect potentiality, whatever it is that supports you in living in the believing and the recognizing to make yourself receptive to the good that is seeking to wash over you, that is seeking to express in you, that is seeking to express as you, that is seeking to blow your mind in what is possible for your life, whatever that is, do it. Embody it. Because that's what we're being asked to do. Holmes goes on. And this is where we get in the specificity of how we use this principle, understanding what it does. He writes, since an understanding of any law must pass first through our conscious mind before we can make use of it, it follows that with all our getting, we should get understanding. Should we wish to know a certain truth, we should state this truth is already known in mind, and this statement will be true. But the overmind, here's just another word for God, another word for spirit, another word for love, another word for law. The overmind must be accepted into our mind before we can understand it. How, then, are we to accomplish the desired result? By stating and feeling that our mind knows the truth about the thing we desire to know. In this way, we draw the infinite mind into our mentalities for definite knowledge of some particular good. What is he saying? What are we talking about? Let's break it down. The creative process is a process of becoming. It's always a process of becoming. That thing that you desire, you have to become it in consciousness. In your mind, you have to accept, receive, and believe that this thing is possible for you. You don't have to convince God that it's possible. God already knows that it's possible. But God cannot express that possibility through you, except you become it. And again, that becoming is through our consciousness. What we become in consciousness, God becomes as the people, places, experiences, and material things in our lives. So that means that whatever it is that you want to demonstrate, begin with divine givingness. Begin with this infinite knowingness. Begin with perfect potentiality, because what did we read earlier? To it, all things are possible. But to us, at least in this moment that we are not experiencing it, some or only certain things are possible. And we want to change that. So our knowing can change, and this begins by affirming what is true in the mind of God and affirming that you are one with God. So what God knows to be true is true for me right here and right now. Right now, I am knowing that all of my bills are paid and I have plenty of money left over to use as I choose. As I know this is true in the mind of God, so it is true in my mind right now, because God and I are one. God's mind is my mind. Right now, I am knowing that I have an exciting and fulfilling career that gives me the income to live the life I desire, because God's mind is my mind. I know that this is true in the mind of God. This is true in perfect potentiality. This is true in infinite knowingness, and it is given by divine givingness. Right now, I am healed. My body is moving easily and effortlessly. Every muscle, every joint feels good. It is true in the mind of God. It is true for me right here and right now. This is how we embody God. And this is how we draw new experiences and expression of the divine in, through, and as our lives. The greatest, the highest, the deepest, and the widest is already present and possible in God, in spirit, in divine givingness, in infinite knowingness, in love itself. And you are one with it. Because we talked about it last week. How does it work? It works for us by working through us and is us. There's no separation between you and this thing that we call God. There's no separation between you and the divine nature. And guess what? It is impersonal. It ain't judging. And it ain't rewarding. It's just impersonal. It's responding. It's becoming. Act as though it is. And it will be. And so we align ourselves with it right here and right now. And so spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer is that knowing. Right now, I am. Right now, I have. Right now, it is. And so I want to close with something that I read earlier. It's exactly how Ernest Holmes closes this section on what it does. Here and now, we are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. There's another word for God. Oh my goodness. What does infinite good know to be true? Here and now we are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours? All of it. How much of this infinite good is yours? All of it. How much of this infinite good is available to you? All of it. And how much of this infinite good is available to your mother? All of it. How much of this infinite good is available to your father? All of it. How much of this infinite good is available to your neighbor? All of it. How much of this infinite good is available to your coworker? All of it. And how much of it may we have to use? The answer is, and always will be, as much of it as we can embody. We understand what it is to embody now. We understand what it is to create the mold in consciousness, knowing clearly that it will be filled, because it is the nature of life. It is a perfect, immutable law. And I encourage you to read this section and reread it and come back to this sermon. There's a section where Ernest Holmes writes about the simplicity of this, because when you think about it, it's so simple. And that's why I love, you ain't got to be able to, you could be visually impaired and make use of this law. You don't have to be able to read or write to make use of this law. It's so incredibly simple. And folks have tried to make it, add all these other complicated things. Ernest Holmes writes, it's a beautiful image he paints there where he says, we've neglected the sermon in the stones, right? That the very perfection of God is even in a rock. If you take it and look at it and understand what's really going on and what was required for that rock to come into being. But we looking everywhere else and trying to make it deeper and more complicated than it needs to be. It's simple. That's why anybody can use it. Simple. That's why anybody can develop the faith, the consciousness around whatever that idea is, and it can come to pass. There's another side to this that's important to understand, that as we come to know and understand this principle, we become responsible for this. And so it behooves us to then be mindful of the beliefs that we're entertaining, because we recognize that we're always creating molds in our mind. And many times the external world is supporting us in creating molds unconsciously. And so as we understand how this principle works, we become more deliberate and intentional, and we practice care. I use the word careful, but not in the sense of being scared. I mean full of care. Because we recognize that we want to create that which is beneficial, that which is beautiful, that which is elegant, that which is constructive, that which is affirming, that which is life-giving. And that is the tendency of life. Whew, I am so excited about this series, and I look forward to next week. Again, I encourage you to continue to reading and come back to this, and we will continue to unfold as we understand what it is truly to love God. To that I say amen, ashe, and so it is. So it is.
Woo!
My Lord, my Lord.
I had to just like bite my tongue over there. listening to this message, how much of it, all of it, is available. So whenever you're in that place where you think lack is operating, where you can't see a solution, just say to yourself, how much, all of it is available. Let me start looking and living and operating from that perspective. All of it is available.
Yes.
The mold ain't broken. The mold can't change until you change it. Because God will fill whatever you give it. Time for a new mold, y'all.
Hey.
Let's forgive ourselves if we created molds that are no longer serving us or didn't ever serve us. Let's just forgive ourselves and set ourselves free.
Hey.
But now it's time to create some new molds because God is available to fill it.
Absolutely.
How much will it fill it? Completely. When will it fill it? When you allow it. So allow it now. Please come back to this message, this series. PG is bringing the teachings in a very beautiful, elegant, sexy way. Because I like an intelligent conversation that is approachable. A Course in Miracles says complexity is of the ego. And so God, in its loving expression, is simple. Its laws and principles are simple. We make it complex. We make it hard. Let's not do that anymore. Let's open our minds and our hearts to the possibility, infinite possibilities that are available to us right here and now. Thank you, PG.
Oh, thank you. So as you can see in this moment, it is time for giving. You've seen the information on your screen throughout the stream. You can go to our website and celebrationsc.org/give to give through that means, or you can text to give. The number is here on your screen, 347-744-9500. There's a $10 minimum for text to give. We continue to, of course, appreciate your giving. It continues to support CSC in doing all that it does, of course, by bringing this broadcast to you each and every week, for us to tie to the organizations that we support, like Equal Justice Initiative and Feeding America and City Harvest and other organizations that we have supported throughout the years. And we also recognize that giving is a spiritual practice. And so one of the things that as a spiritual community and as spiritual teachers, we get to support you in doing is really understanding that and practicing that without judgment, right? Because the one thing we're not doing, there's no shame. There's no posting of people's names and who gave and who didn't give and announcing and all that. I've been through that.
Yes.
Right? Sitting in church business meeting and they read it out, right? Everybody knows what you did or didn't do. Other churches post things up on the wall, right? And
I've even been in a church when they lock the doors and won't let you out until they get a certain amount.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so we know that that's not beneficial in terms of teaching you the benefits of giving. But what we know to be true, as it is a spiritual practice, what's important is that we give without shame, that we give without guilt, that we find our joy number. And as we find our joy number, then the next part is to be consistent with that. Right? Because if you sort of kind of try, you sort of kind of get results, right? If you sort of kind of give, without shame, without judgment, then you're also not experiencing the benefit, the true absolute benefit of giving that everyone that is financially successful even understands and talks about, right? They might not be doing a whole bunch of other stuff, but they understand that part of it, right? And that's why so many philanthropic organizations exist, why so many foundations exist, because it's built on a principle that is a spiritual principle. And so we support you in doing this in a very specific way. Find your joy number, what feels good, and give from that place consistently and without hesitation. An open hand receives. It's just the way it works, right? And you have to exhale before you can inhale, right? And so giving is just like the cycle of breathing. And so when we give from this consciousness, when we give from this place, then we can affirm with joy this truth, this affirmation. All the money that I use returns to me multiplied in a never-ending cycle of increase and enjoyment. To that we say amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is. We love you. We pray that you have an amazing week, an amazing remainder of your Sunday. Do what feels good to you, and enjoy yourself. Find joy wherever you may be, because it's present, because God is present.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing you, connecting with many of you tomorrow morning on the prayer call on the remainder of the week. And if not on the prayer call, then back here next Sunday as we continue with our service and continue to learn more from the science of mind. All right. So we'll see you next week.
Love you.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye for now.